Hello, this is Derek, and this is section 6.2, multiplication with exponents. And in this section, we're going to see kind of a part one of the rules for exponents, and then 5 through we'll see part two. These are really small, so I wrote them a little bit bigger. Property one says if we're multiplying exponents, we would add them. The reason for that is if we have something like x squared times x cubed, that's really saying we have 2x's and 3x's, and there's that repeated multiplication. So that would be x to the fifth because there's 5x's. This says if we're raising something to a power, then we multiply the powers. So that would be an instance like if I had x cubed squared. That means I just have x cubed twice, and if you count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that would be x to the 6th. So we would go 3 times 2 is 6. And this last one says basically the exponent belongs to everything in the parentheses. So, and then one more little bit of notation there is a to the first. We don't usually write the 1. We usually just write that as a plain a, but there is that implied 1, and that will matter when we're doing addition, particularly. Okay, so these first few examples are all multiplication. So this first one is x to the 5th times x to the 8th. And so in that case, we would add our exponents because we're multiplying. I'm sorry, I said x, but that's actually y to the 5th, y to the 8th, so that would be y to the 13th. This next one is 5y and then times 3y to the 8th. And this is where that y is a 1 when it's just a plain y, so it's y to the first. We multiply our coefficients, so we go 5 times 3 is 15, but then we're adding our exponents, so I have 8 y's here plus 1 more there, so that's y to the 9th, and it's easy to lose that 1 there. The next one, this is x squared times x to the 9th times x to the 6th times x cubed. So 2 and 9 would be, basically I'm just going to go 2 plus 9 plus 6 plus 3, so that would be 11 plus 9, or x to the 20th. And then this one changes up. Let me write that a little bit larger. So now we're saying x to the 6th squared. So what that means is I have 2 sets of x to the 6th. So this is where we're multiplying because we're raising to a power rather than multiplication. So that one would be x to the 12th. Okay, next up we have negative 10x, and then that's quantity cubed. So this means the same thing as having negative 10x, negative 10x, negative 10x. And I'm definitely not suggesting you write that out, but again, sometimes envisioning what it would look like helps you kind of figure out what's going on with it. So this is negative 10, negative 10, negative 10, so that would be 3 negatives would be a negative still, and then 1,000, 1, 2, 3 x's, so we're adding those little invisible ones up there, so that would be x cubed. Next one, this is negative d to the 4th, and then this is negative d quantity squared, so that's really like negative d times negative d. So these two would pair off and become a positive d squared, and then there's that leftover negative sign, and I have 4 here and 2 here, so adding again the exponents, I get d to the 6th. Here we have, let me write that larger. Okay, so for this one, and all I did was write these larger down here so you can see them a little better. This would be, this monomial right here is squared, so 5 squared would give us 25. X cubed squared, so that is the raising to a power, so we're multiplying, so that is x to the 6th, and then y squared. And again, if you get mixed up, think about if this was 5x cubed y times 5x cubed y. So 5 and 5 would be the 25, x cubed, there's your x to the 6th, y and y would make that y squared. This piece, I'll go x cubed cubed, so that would be x to the 9th. And y to the 1st cubed would be 3 times 1, or 3. And then we're not done there because now we have to do the multiply. So now we have 25 out front still, and then x to the 6th, and then it's all multiplying, so then times x to the 9th, so those two go together would be x to the 15th, and then y squared, and then y cubed should give us y to the 5th. And this next one, again, all I did on this line was write it larger. So I'll put that negative out front so I don't lose it. And then this is going to be a negative times negative, so that's going to be a positive for this result, but still a negative because of it being inside. And so I will write that as x squared y squared. And then that's going to be times x cubed y still. And this negative just kind of come along for the ride, just like we have a negative thing times a positive thing, so it makes it negative. X squared and x cubed. So this is where we're adding exponents because I have 2 here and 3 here, so that would give us 5 altogether. And then y cubed and y would give us, y squared and y would give us y cubed. Okay, for this one, let's bring down that 6a. And then this is a to the 5th squared, so that is going to be a to the 10th. And then we'll deal with that next part in a second here. And I'm just going to bring down the 5a to the 5th. And then careful with this 3. This is where people forget to cube the 3. This says 3a cubed squared. So remember, that's like having 3a cubed, 3a cubed. So careful to get that 9 right there. So that would be times 9a to the 6th. And then I can do my multiply now. So I've done the raised to the power, and now I'll clean up the multiply part. So that is 6a to the 11th minus 5 times 9 would be 45, a to the 11th. So 6 of those minus 45 of those is going to be minus 39, a to the 11ths. Okay, for these last little round of problems, we have simplified the expression as much as possible. If the expression cannot be simplified, type the original expression. Okay, so this first one is just to multiply, so that can absolutely be simplified. So we're just going, this is 3x to the 6 times 4x squared. So 3 times 4 will give us 12, and then x to the 6th, x squared. Right there, we're going to add the exponents, so that'll be x to the 8th. This next one, let me write it a bit bigger. So 3x to the 6th plus 4x squared, nothing can be done because these are not like terms, and that's addition. So remember, we can combine things, we can multiply things that aren't like terms. There's no problems there. But to add them, we have to have like terms, so for add or subtract. And then let me write this last one a bit larger. This would be negative z, negative z, negative z. So that would just still be a negative z cubed, but I can at least kind of get rid of the parentheses. And then this is still times that negative z and still raised to the 4th. So now here I have a negative thing times a negative thing, so that's going to make it positive. And I have 3 4z's, so that will be z to the 4th. And that is all to the 4th, so z to the 4th to the 4th will be z to the 16th, because that says I have 4 sets of 4, or 16.